Good evening. On behalf of the Livonia Arts Commission, we would like to welcome all of our guests and dignitaries to the 17th Annual Fine Arts Exhibition reception. This evening, we are honored to recognize all the talented artists' work on display in our gallery. I'm Grace Karcheski, Director of the Fine Arts Exhibition, and your host this evening. To begin the evening, I would like to introduce the members of the Livonia Arts Commission. Please stand and hold applause until after I introduce all of you. Our chairperson is Brian Duggan, Donna Eno, Hytham Fakore, Daniel Pollock, Carrie Sperling, Daniel Sperling, Jerry Valentine, Pam Valentine, Karen Varan, and our liaison is Christine Swish. Thank you all. Without all of their help, our reception would not be possible this evening. At this time, I would like to introduce the Honorable Mayor of the City of Livonia, Jack Kirksey, to speak to us this evening. Mayor?
Appreciate the opportunity to share a few words with you, and what a very nice crowd this evening, and you're in a very wonderful group of people here, and the Arts Commission are the people that make up that group are some of the hardest working commissioners that we have in Livonia. And altogether there's about 170 people that are on different commissions. But the Arts Commission meets in the 4th floor conference room outside of my office, and so I can keep an eye on them. And I report back that they are very, very active. It's one of the organizations that has a number of different activities that take place during the year that are sort of labor intensive. And our Music from the Heart, a number of other activities that occur, if they weren't there and planning and actually being part of those activities, they would not be as hugely successful as they are. So I know that they have been introduced, but let's give them another round of applause at this time, if we would. I haven't had a chance to get upstairs to look at some of the artwork, but I look forward to that. Pat Kirksey sends along her regrets, can't be here tonight. She's got some of the chronic cough that's going on around the community, and so getting out at night and all the leaves around and all that type of thing, she is wisely staying home, but she said to say hi to everybody, regrets that she can't be here, but I hope you continue to have a great evening, and I'm honored to be here with you, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mayor Kirksey. As always, it's an honor to have you attend our reception. Finally, our awards. We had so many fine works of art from many artists from across Michigan. Our juror, David Messing, is our hometown professional artist. He obtained his Bachelor of Fine Arts from Wayne State University, Detroit, Michigan, where he specialized in sculpture, advertising, and design. He has continued to add to his professional artist skills by adapting to all mediums. Dave has lent his talent to entities ranging from Universal Pictures, Avalon Films, Sports Illustrated, Harley-Davidson, the big Detroit automotive companies. Many of us know Dave through his business and newspaper columns. For 25 years, he has operated his art instructional business called The Art Store and More, which is now called Art 101 Instructional Facilities. Dave's sculptures and paintings are showcased at the Detroit Historical Museum, the Clinton Historical Museum, the Kalamazoo Science Center, and retail outlets. He has worked as a set designer, prop and miniature builder for film and print commercials for all divisions and all makes of Ford, GM, and Chrysler, as well as the North American International Auto Show hosted annually in Detroit, Michigan. Dave's illustrations for children's books are award-winning. His awards include, in 2007, the DIY International Book Festival, the Writer's Digest Books and Authors Net, in 2008, a Silver Gold Nautilus Book Award. In 2010, 5 Moms Gold Choice Awards for Best Children's Picture Book Series. In 2011, the Parents' Choice Award, and in 2012, the Gold Mom's Choice Award for Nick the Wise Old Cat and Monty the Menace. For over 8 years, Dave authored Artifacts, teaching his crafts to observer and eccentric newspaper readers in his own column. Dave will share his thoughts on our exhibition after the awards have been presented. As your name is called, please come up to the front and receive your award. We will start with our Best of Show, which goes to Susan Parrish for the work titled Mackenzie. Congratulations. Second place goes to Lisa Mustuk for the work titled Fire and Ice. Congratulations. Third place goes to Robert Parrish for the work titled Sky Song. Congratulations. The Juror's Choice Award goes to Frederick Butler for the work titled Keepers of the Taj. Congratulations. The Mayor's Choice Award goes to Sherry Eade for the work titled Entwined. Congratulations. Did I say Sherry? Yes, you did. Hi, Sherry. The Arts Commissioner's Choice goes to Susan Parrish for the work titled Summer Smiles. Congratulations. The Award of Merit goes to Durwood Coffrey for the work entitled Green Sea Turtles. Congratulations. The first honorable mention goes to Bob Kennedy for the work titled Adult Swim. Congratulations. The second honorable mention goes to Regina Dunn for the work titled Boats at Rest. Congratulations. Regina Dunn. The third honorable mention goes to Roberta McDowell for the work titled Lily Whites. Congratulations. And the final honorable mention goes to Kathleen O'Connell for the work titled Anticipation. Congratulations. And congratulations to all of you. All winners, please sign your paperwork and turn it in to Brian Duggan. At this time, I would like our juror, David Messing, to speak with us this evening. Dave?
Well, I first want to thank my son Kevin for helping me jury this show. It was, we did have to drop about 100 pieces out of the show, so it was very, very difficult. And an honorable mention in this show is quite an honor. So I actually want to mention some of the people's, some of the artworks that we just want. It's kind of like the football team where everybody gets a trophy. You know, that's the way we felt about this. But the Potter by Marty Walker. Are you here tonight? Marty, it's just beautiful. The Last Bastion, Judith Peoples. I don't know what you were smoking that night, but that was a great sculpture piece. Is that a brush? A floor brush, or? It's actually, my degree is in sculpture, and I always enjoy a good sculpture piece, and that was sort of a found art piece. I thought you did a very good job. Sherry-eyed, your portrait of Sunlit was beautiful, and of course she won the mayor. I want to thank the mayor for choosing Sherry-eyed. What was that, Commissioner's choice?
Yes.
Something?
No, it was the mayor's choice.
Mayor, well, of course, the mayor's choice. Sherry Ide has been a student of mine for like 30 years, so it saved me the consternation of how do I award somebody that I taught all these years. Bonsai in Winter by Richard Yandura. Beautiful job. Probably 100,000 dots it took to do that pointillism, so appreciate that. His Majesty, which is a beautiful picture of a deer by Roberta McDowell. Are you here? Very nice. Beautiful colored pencil. Shades of Gray, Rosemary Worthen. Are you here? That is a great piece. Very, very great. Very good. The Teapot by John Mrozik. I don't know what part the T comes out of on that, but it's a beautiful sculpture. I really enjoyed the sculpture Hope by Sarah Lesko. I don't know if you're here tonight. Beautiful, beautiful work. The patina was just perfect on that. Gold Spots was a very cool abstract. I enjoyed that. Sort of a big spatula painting. I thought it was very nice. And Barbie Dolls, that's not the name of it, by Rachel Strickton. I don't know what possessed you to start painting Barbie dolls, but I liked it. Well, Kevin and I've been jurying shows for 30 years, and as always, I back into the parking space so I can make a quick getaway after. So you won't see me after. I'll eat and then probably just take off real fast, because usually there's a handful of people that think I'm very wise. I'm sure Sue Parrish thinks Kevin and I are so wise. But we're going to have a petition to ban all parishes from any future shows. You know, it's having done this for 30 years, there are probably 3-4 dozen things that I always think of when I go into a show. Like I said, this was a very hard show to jury. First, we had to drop close to 100 pieces, which was very, very hard to do. And then to take the ones that we gleaned and find the best, especially when there's photography involved. It's very difficult to judge a good photograph against a good painting, against a pastel. I know myself, very first art show I ever tried, I lost to a photograph, and I was just so mad. You know, the guy just took a picture of a window, and 30th of a second, and he wins, and I spent weeks on the picture that I worked on. It's just very hard to put the two together. Possibly next year we'll have a different division, but that's not for me to say. What we look for when we begin to judge a show, the first thing we do is walk in the room, and if it's an open gallery, we can just look around and see what catches your eye, and then it's exciting to go around looking at each piece, study each piece, and then there's always that one that caught my eye, and it's when I get around to that one, that's when I'm either excited or disappointed. Maybe it looked good from a distance, but up close there just wasn't enough detail, enough color, enough texture, enough to hold your attention. That is why Sue's piece was so strong. even when we were looking at even when we were looking at a little piece this big, we just was just amazed at it. And I love the way, that's a pastel, I'm sure, right? And we often talk about pushing a medium. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And she pushed the medium around the face. It was just so beautiful and smooth. You almost can't tell if it's an oil or a pastel. But then she did those beautiful dry strokes in the hair, and that's what Kevin and I just loved it. Then structure and correctness is another thing that we always look for. Probably 20 years ago, I was during this show and had a beautiful pastoral scene with a mailbox and the post coming out of the garden, and the mailbox was on top of the post, and then there was the vines and all this beautiful painting going on, and the door on the mailbox was open. And so late in the jurying, I just imagined if you took the door of the mailbox and closed it, would it fit? And it didn't fit. So so that if you close the door, it would have been this much higher than the mailbox. So those are things that as a juror, I have to drop that out just because of that technical problem. So we, of course, are always looking for color. We tend to really appreciate the rich, beautiful colors, but even muted colors have a place. Try to avoid lazy palettes where you just have one or two colors and then add white and black to it, or shades to that. That just doesn't work. Especially when you have to remember that during an art show, it's relative. So your piece is relative to this piece, and it helps you see that you have to bring your best game into every piece. Now, scale is a problem. It's probably the first thing that I look for. We all know of Kincaid paintings, the painter of light. And I was looking at some of his pieces, and I noticed there was a wheelbarrow next to the beautifully lit cabin, which he always paints. And in the wheelbarrow was one oak leaf, and the scale of that oak leaf, it was either a very tiny wheelbarrow or an oak leaf that was about this big. So scale is always something you have to watch. Like if you're doing brush strokes, if you're doing grass in the foreground of a painting, and it's a number 3 brush and you do this stroke, you can't have the same stroke half a mile back in the painting. That has to be a finer stroke, and it has to be a different color, because you can't have the same green as you have in the foreground as you have in maybe perhaps a half a mile or 2 miles back in the painting. That's a big one, and we see that all the time. Now, focus is you direct the viewer with detail, with color. I think it's fun to direct the viewers of my work. I want them to look at this part of the picture. And I do that with color, with clarity, and detail. And then maybe on further out in the picture, I can let that go almost into an abstract piece. Like I keep going back to Sue's. If you look at that beautiful portrait, you have super clarity in the face, and then as it moves out, you have almost a gesture of hair, and then as you move out, you have these beautiful colors laid in. That lilac color that you put in was, I don't know why you did that, but I loved it. Like color always changes. You can't have, back to what I was saying about the colors in like the green in the foreground, green in the background. Color always changes. If you think about it, a red car isn't red everywhere. In some places it's white, where it's real shiny. Some places it's pink, some places it's burgundy. I work with all the different automotive companies, and there's a big part, I build the sets and do the props for them. But keeping a red car looking red or a green car looking green, you cannot believe the work that we go through keeping a red car looking red. It's just, we have to paint red cards and reflect it up into the car just to keep its color true. So always remember, color changes a foot away from, color's going to change from here to here to here to here. So that's another big one that we look at. Don't be too tricky. We've all known about alcohol spray, salt method in watercolor, method painting. Those are all good, and I do them, and I appreciate method painting. But like if it's a Bob Ross scene where everything is a method painting, it just falls apart. So use those tricky little things, tricky little techniques, but don't let that overpower the painting. Artistic license, I have always given my students an artistic license. I photoshopped this really official looking license with my face on it and the signature and the state symbols, and then on the back of that license I printed in bold type, "It really looked this way." And I always tell my students, you have to use this card one way or another, either the model or the thing that you're painting. If it has a funny spot or something doesn't look right, you have to fix it. And if you don't fix it, you have to use the back of the license and post that on your finished artwork and say, "It really looked this way." Don't be trapped by your success. I've been in a lot of shows, juried a lot of shows, and I've seen people that are very good at what they do. Let's just use Sue again. You do these beautiful portraits. If that's all you do, I would call that being trapped by your success. You've got to push yourself. I think, I don't know, probably 30, 20 some years ago, I was in a show. I did a watercolor of a coyote, and it won first place for watercolor. And the girl that won the best in show did a huge watercolor of baskets, and it was just beautiful. Every little reed, it was a beautiful picture. And she told me that if she couldn't paint her cat if her life depended on it. And I know that she went on to paint baskets and win awards. And I thought to myself, wow, I don't want to be trapped by, like, if I did that, I'd be painting watercolor coyotes still today. So take a risk of failure, get out and try different media, certainly different subjects. And don't get discouraged. I have framed for probably 25 years, Kevin, and I have a lot of funny framing stories. And one lady came in with a beautiful, beautiful large watercolor. I framed it up. When she came to pick it up, I presented it to her and said, this is just a beautiful painting. And she pulled out a Best in Show ribbon and stuck it on the corner. And I said, "Oh, was this the Best in Show?" And she said, "Yes." And 6 months earlier, it was kicked out of the show. So don't ever get discouraged, because a Best in Show and all these different runs through the filter of the juror. And we all know there's some really weird jurors out there. I was in a show, again, I did a watercolor, just a very fast piece, and it won first place watercolor, and the observer was there, and they took a picture, and I don't know why, they just did this great big picture of me holding the watercolor, and I was all thrilled, couldn't wait for the next show. So 6 months later, I'm doing this beautiful, well, I think it was beautiful, great big scene of a cheetah attacking a impala, and couldn't wait to turn that in, and I've already spent the prize money in my mind. I turned it in and got that call to come pick it up because they didn't even want it in the show. And the best in the show was a paper towel, the center of the paper towel, that little cardboard tube. Somebody took their finger and tore a slot out of it, sprayed it gold, and then painted the edges red and put it on a gold piece of mat board about this big. So that's when I learned to not get too discouraged when you're thrown out of a show, because and that judge was from my alma mater, Wayne State, which made me very proud. So that's some of the things we look at, and obviously there's another 200 things that run through our mind, but I have to say, like I said at the beginning, an honorable mention in this show is really something, and to be in the show means it's quite an honor too, because we, like I said, we had to drop, was it almost 100 pieces? And that is very hard. So I appreciate you coming, I appreciate Livonia for asking Kevin and I to jury the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave, for making our exhibition a success. We are honored that you are our juror this year. This will conclude the 17th Annual Fine Arts Exhibition. Please stay, tour our gallery, and enjoy the remainder of your evening with us. And congratulations to all the artists in our show this evening. Thank you.